Hello, hi. Let us discuss a previous year question from UPSC MAINS GS3 paper. The question was from a topic directly picked up from the syllabus, that's about nuclear energy. With growing energy needs, should India keep on extending its nuclear energy program? Discuss the facts and fears associated with nuclear energy. So we have to divide this particular answer into three subheadings. First of all, write an introduction, that's basic. Then write what is nuclear energy and how is it generated. So that's a fact related to nuclear energy. Then whether India need to extend its nuclear energy program, that is another subheading. And what are the arguments against this, that what are the concerns or fears associated with, that is the third part. Then write a suitable conclusion. So first of all, what is nuclear energy? Nuclear energy is the energy that is harnessed through the process of nuclear fission. Very basic introduction, anybody can write. So it is offering a reliable and low carbon solution to meet the energy demand. Fine. So what are the facts related to nuclear energy generation? First of all, it is through the process of nuclear fission. Fission means what? Splitting of one nuclei into two. Which nuclei? Uranium or plutonium nuclei. So while that particular splitting is done, a tremendous amount of energy is released in the form of heat. Now this heat is used to vaporize water and hence produce steam. This steam, high energy steam, which is coming under very high force, that will be driving turbines connected to the generator. So when that generator is rotating, electricity is generated. Now that is one part related to nuclear energy generation. Now say write two or three points related to nuclear energy and its generation, since the title is facts related to nuclear energy. So nuclear energy is one of the most energy dense sources of power. That means from a small amount of nuclear fuel you can generate large amount of electricity. So energy density is very high when compared to coal or any other resources. Then related to nuclear energy only, nuclear power plants are very heavily regulated by national organization or international organizations, for example IAEA. Now arguments for extending India's nuclear energy program. See, what are the perks or what are the needs for extending India's nuclear energy program? First of all, energy security and diversification. Okay, we need to get energy 24/7 and we need to diverse the energy resources. We should not entirely depend upon coal or entirely depend upon renewable energy, because every source of power will have its own limitation. So if you want to diversify by using renewable energy, that will reduce the dependence on fossil fuel imports. Then we will be getting a predictable energy output. So it's part of energy security, predictable energy output, because renewable energy sources like solar and wind, they are actually having certain limitations like climate factors and all. Then mitigating energy price volatility. Again, we know that if we are importing the entire fuel requirements, that will be affected because of the price volatility, because when the production is less and demand is more, the price will be high, that will lead to inflation and all. But if we are diversifying the fossil fuel imports with nuclear energy, we can have that diversification advantage. We need not worry about price volatility, etc. Then decentralization of energy generation, right? That means even in rural areas or even in rural pockets, you can set up a small modular reactor and generate electricity for that particular area. So energy security and diversification. Then low greenhouse gas emission. It is carbon free, it is methane free. You for example, it is not demanding any forest cut or deforestation, because if you want to set up a hydroelectric project, we have to construct a dam first. So for that we have to submerge lots of hectares of forest. So it's not required here, because it's require some amount of land, but that can be done in an area where forest is not there, tribals are not there, etc. Then complementing renewable energy. That means need not completely depend upon the renewable energy, which is having their own limitations like climate factors and all. Then we can replace the coal power plants. So all these points are pointing to the low greenhouse gas emission. Then large scale energy generation. In what all ways it will be helping in large scale energy generation? Because many of the nuclear reactors are having capacities ranging from hundreds or thousands of megawatts. Okay, this particular megawatts to this tune can give power to lakhs of households. Maybe it is said that even a small nuclear reactor can give power to around 7 lakh households. Then continuous operation. You need not fuel or refuel it the other day or something like that. You can refuel it only after 1.5 years. So that much long process is this is because it's a chain reaction, right? So once it is started, it will be continuing on its own. Then supporting rural, industrial or urban demands. If there is one particular area, for example Mumbai slum where millions of people live, okay, you can have a nuclear reactor for that particular area. So for that large scale area, one particular nuclear reactor will be sufficient. Okay, even a small nuclear reactor will be sufficient. So that much potential. Then geopolitical consideration, because if a country is having sufficient capacity in terms of nuclear energy generation, that will be improving its international prestige. Okay, for example, last day we have discussed a question about the perks of having our own space station. In that point also we talked that it will be improving our international prestige. Same thing. Then we can have nuclear cooperation agreements with like giants like US, Russia and all, because they are also nuclear powers, and such nuclear cooperation agreements will further lead to trade agreements, military cooperation, everything. Then international non-proliferation efforts. If we are becoming a giant and peaceful nuclear power generating country, we can advise other countries and we can be part of all nuclear proliferation, non-proliferation efforts. That means preventing the nuclear powers like North Korea etc. from generating nuclear weapons etc. Then we can diversify the energy partnership. For example, if we are entirely depending upon Saudi Arabia or Iraq for our oil, and at times if they are coming on our enemy side, if they are telling that okay, we won't be giving you fuel like any further, that means we are trapped at that time. So we need not depend entirely on such countries. We can diversify our energy partnership by having nuclear energy agreements with the other countries as well. Then you can export nuclear technology and you can improve the trade relationship with other countries in that way. You can export technology, nuclear power technology, nuclear fuel. If you have, for example, we have abundant resources of thorium, right? Then we can export even the energy, just like we are exporting our like electricity to Bangladesh, Nepal, etc. like that. So that's the like perks of having nuclear energy generation. Then what are the arguments against extending this nuclear power program? For example, safety risk. Definitely nuclear accidents as in Chernobyl, Fukushima, etc. Then radioactive releases because of equipment failure, human error, or even natural disasters like tsunami, etc., which happened in Japan and all. Then nuclear fuel transport, while transporting due to handling errors, accidents, and even if some terrorists are hijacking that particular transport vehicle, so such safety risks are there. Then nuclear waste storage and disposal. That's a tremendous risk, okay, because that cannot be disposed anywhere, right? So that will lead to leaching of that nuclear waste to environment. Then high initial cost, because for a safe engineering and design of that particular plant, it requires extensive research, analysis and regulatory approval. That will take time and requires tremendous amount of capital. Then construction time frame. Even one particular construction requires more than a decade. At that time, the budget may be like hiked by more than 10 times. Then it requires very high quality and specialized materials like high grade steel and concrete, which are very, very expensive. Then it requires skilled labor, land acquisition, because large amount of lands are required for its setting up and for its nuclear waste storage, coolant equipment establishment, everything. Then if some accidents happen, we need to compensate the people, that may be in millions and billions. So very high cost associated. Then land use and environmental impact. Definitely you need to acquire very huge amount of land, and that full area may be contaminated because of this radiation leakage and all. And where are you going to dump your waste? To like water bodies, right? So that hot water like emission to that particular water bodies, that will lead to thermal pollution, extremely increasing the heat content of the water and destroying the aquatic flora and fauna, etc. Then you need for purpose of cooling down that particular reactor, you need to deplete the surrounding water body by huge water consumption. Then for mining the uranium or any other fuel, you need to destroy that particular area, and then the entire habitat, forest, water, everything will be contaminated. Then again, storing of radioactive waste storage, that is a very huge concern, because it's also it also cannot be like used for any landfill or for some underground burying, or nothing can be done, because some scientific intervention is required in that. So that's huge environmental impact. Then limited fuel resources, right? Because we have already consumed high grade uranium deposits in many part of the world. High grade uranium are already exhausted. Now low grade uranium or other fuel reserves will be present, and even that is depleting because of the rising demand, etc. Then if some countries are completely depending on the nuclear fuel imports, and what happens if that exporting country is telling that tomorrow I won't give, so such a geopolitical risks are also involved in this thing. So that also you can write as a part of limited fuel resources. Then so these are the points against the expansion of nuclear energy generation. Then with that you can conclude, okay, embracing nuclear energy is good, but you have to address the safety and other risk concerns. So here we'll be winding up this answer. Let us meet in the next answer discussion. Thank you.